Blog Talk Radio.
Aziz, Aziz, Aziz,
Hey, Mr. Green,
Ethan Green.
Crystal Good.
I'm here.
All right. I'm doing real good. No pun intended. But I'm just feeling the new year, looking optimistic toward all the things that we have to do. Okay, just try to keep try to keep a smile on my face and being optimistic. Got things to be optimistic about. Okay.
I'll tell you one thing that makes me really optimistic is I just got news that Reverend Ron English is the new president of the NAACP, I believe Charleston chapter, and that brings me great joy. Reverend English is a treasure, and for him to be in leadership of the NAACP, I'm getting my membership and getting on the email list, and I feel really good that we're going to be hearing some really good stuff coming out of Charleston NAACP.
Okay, that's all right. I've worked with Reverend Ron English myself, and that's the good news. Okay, keep me posted on that. Okay, tonight's show, more Black women organizers, Lujauna Logan. Okay. And I just was talking to Sister Lujauna, and I'm gonna. Now, do you have anything else? Because I didn't want to cut in there and go directly to that because you might have had something else. Okay. Okay.
Lujauna M.
Okay.
Can push now.
Now, I told her that we would give her a call, but I want to kind of lay it out a little bit if I could, and she'll come through and speak a little bit more. Lujauna, when we began to talk about Black women organizers, we talked to Sister Dr. Kimberly Richards last week, where she gave us a clear and precise definition of what an organizer does, and I want to hit that real quick before we bring Lujauna on. That the organizer is someone that brings people together for an intended purpose or goal. And I think it's clear. I think it's important that we get that definition out first, because with her experiences and her background, she's gonna reinforce that definition that Sister Dr. Kimberly Richards gave us last week. Okay, so she has an extensive background as far as I'm concerned, but she's going to go into more detail in terms of her history. Okay, so I'm excited to hear what she has for us. Okay.
Me too. Me too.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead on and give her a call. It's time to bring her in.
Let's see. There we go.
Yes, she's
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, sister.
What? Hey there. How are you?
Good.
All
can
right.
You can hear us? Good.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My daughter, I just was texting my daughter, and she said, "Oh, I'm supposed to be on there too." I didn't know if she was supposed to be on there or not.
Well, what I did, Sister Lujauna, is I got in touch with her and let her know, because we know that your daughter does a business, so we might as well deal with that up front. She does her own logo business.
Can we get her on? Can we get her on?
We can bring her. Yes, we can get her on. I think I was in the middle of sending. She can call in. Okay.
It's right there. 516.
Wait a minute.
Text, or she can
just
call. 516.
Okay, what's the number?
516-666. Oh, that's weird.
Okay.
666-9488.
Okay, I'm telling her to call now. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I sent you the link.
She's just calling. She getting ready to call you now.
Okay. I do got some questions for you in the intro to be able to talk about some of your history, if you could, before we get started on Luana. Okay.
Okay.
For instance, what was one of your earliest organizing experiences that motivated, inspired you to be an organizer?
What inspired me is growing up in West Virginia on a hill on a mountain called Shady Side. I used to work for this preacher. His name was Reverend Willie Terry, and he was instrumental in our community providing fresh vegetables and stuff. You know, he had gardens, great big gardens, and he would share that food with the families on the hill. But he inspired me to come and help him and to work with him. And just by seeing him give to the community, it inspired me to want to do something to give to the community as well. It's just on a different level.
Right. Okay, so that was one of your early organizers.
Real quick though, tell me what the pastor's name. I want to know what was the pastor's name, Sister Luana?
His name was Willie Terry, Terry.
And I know Pastor Terry was just doing that because he was sharing his garden, and we know that today there are grants and all kinds of things that people get so that they can grow vegetables and share them within their community. And he was just doing what needed to be done. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. I mean, growing up on the mountain on Shady Side, like we had fresh fruit trees. We had pears and peaches and wild cherries and blackberries. So we had people like Reverend Willie Terry, who was actually instrumental in providing fresh vegetables in the community. But we also had people like my grandmother, Flora Merchant, different people, my mother, Pauline Williams, in the community at that time too, who were actually baking goods and like some of the blackberries that the kids we were taught how to go and pick. We go pick blackberries because we want a blackberry cobbler. But those are the ladies who showed the young girls how to make the dough, you know, how to season it up, how to bake it. It was absolutely fun. You know, it was great. We had a man named Mr. Baxter Howard who lived down the street. He had grapes. He had the only grape little vines on the hill. So he would make wine. And, you know, I mean, we would go and steal the grapes. That was fun. We get a whooping, but we still did it, you know. And it was just a great atmosphere for us growing up in that little area. You know, we always looked out, every family always looked out for each other.
And just to be clear, I mean, I'm guessing that Shady Side was, Mountain was a black community. Is that right?
It was definitely, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a black community on top of the mountain. Now, when you go down to the right side of the mountain leading down the hill, you had people like Germans, some Italians, going down to the right side of the hill. Those were the friendly white people. Okay, when we got that, we were going to the bus, catch the school bus at the bottom of the hill. We'd have to walk at least about 1.5 miles to go and catch the bus. You know, no shelter. We stood out in the cold, the whole nine, but we didn't mind. You know, it was a great atmosphere. But okay, then coming home after we got out of school, we came up on the left side of the mountain, and those were filled with a lot of racist people. You know, that was the community that really didn't like the black kids. You know, you had some in that community, maybe a couple of them that actually dealt with us. You know, but what they handled us with a long handled spoon. You know,
is it still like that today, Luana?
Get in there, but I just want to just pause right here for a second because one of the conversations that's happening on Twitter that I think is so interesting is how the white folks don't really understand the complexity of Black life in West Virginia, and just what you said right there in terms of like the friendly white folks on one side of the mountain and the not friendly white folks on the other side of the mountain. You know, I think that that's an important thing to go. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, to go on record, because a lot of people think when they look back that there was just this camaraderie between, the division and the segregation of the neighborhoods. And that even goes back to sort of the coal miners being segregated in the coal camps there. And
absolutely.
I think what people forget is the absolute survival skills that young black children, right, what you're talking about, had to learn to navigate when trying to, distinguish between good white people and the white folks that you better just get on about your business. But it sounds like a beautiful place to grow up, and I love.
And the crazy part about it too, Crystal, is that we didn't really know about racism, until we got older. We grew up, like I said, we grew up on top of the hill. My daddy was a coal miner. He worked at the mines. He needed 6 more months before he could get his retirement from the mines. And what they do, they shut the mines down. Therefore, they didn't even allow him to go to another mine so he can get his 6 months in so he can get his pension. That's how dirty the United Mine Workers used to do black miners. Okay? They would do things like that. My dad gave his life. He went in that coal mines with hardly anything on. I remember finding, my grandfather actually worked in the mines too. I remember finding one of my dad's first mining hats, and it was an open flame with some gunpowder in a little container that fit right on the top of the light. It was a carbide. It was a carbide light. And that was an open flame. You're going down in the ground with gas. So they had a lot of different explosions and things in West Virginia in different mines. One being the mines that blew up in Monongah that killed a lot of black men. It killed a lot of black men.
Everettsville.
Yeah,
another area where their mines blew up.
Everettsville, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Luana, I'd also like to be able for you to outline some of the black women organizers that you admired that impacted your own decision to be an organizer. I know you worked with your Miss Amy, but wasn't your Aunt Shirley? Wasn't she an organizer as well? I remember. Yeah.
My aunt Shirley and my mother, Pauline Williams, Shirley Merchant and Pauline Williams, they actually helped organize, and Miss Eleanor Lee helped organize the Stand for Children march that they had in Fairmont. And that was
what year was
a trip
that?
to Washington. That was in 2000. I say 90. This was born in 91. No, it was in 1996, something like that. By 1996.
Okay.
Yeah, 1996. They actually organized the Stand for Children rally where they actually took a bus and they went to Washington, D.C. to protest for the rights of the children. And they were greeted by thousands of people in Washington, D.C. They didn't create the organization. They were a part of organizing it locally.
Right. They got organized a faction to go to D.C. in support of a national march.
That's right. Yes.
That's what. Okay. Want to make sure we're clear on that. So your background is a background from your family, your mother, your auntie were both participated in national marches. Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure I get that clear on the record. And I recall that you told me at one time that you organized the march over here in Morgantown. And
I did.
You can give me the date. What was the date on that?
I
wasn't there, but I want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, the march. It was a march for unity, and it was actually right after September 11th, where the towers were bombed, were destroyed. Yes, and so I felt that there was a need for people who were affected by. If they tragically lost someone in the towers, for them to be able to get to New York to take care of their families' burial or to just be with their family at that time. So I opened it up to art. I worked at Teletech at that time, and I raised all the money there. I think I raised, I don't know how many thousands of dollars, but I gave it all to this young man who lost 4 people. He was a football player for West Virginia University. four people in the World Trade Center, and
Wow.
he just didn't have the money to go. So, I put it out there publicly that if anyone needed assistance getting to New York, please contact us at Teletech, and we would be happy to accommodate them as much as we could. Nobody came forward, only that young man, and we gave it all to him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that, as far as I'm concerned, that was an early organizational effort back in 2001. After the 9/11, you organized this March for Unity.
Yeah, the March for Unity went from Don Knotts Boulevard. I don't know if you're familiar with who Don Knotts is, an actor. He was from Morgantown, West Virginia. He played on Andy Griffin's show, The Fish Called Wanda. I guess he was a fish or whatever it was. But anyway, we marched from Teletech, which is on Greenbag Road, all the way down Don Knotts Boulevard to Ruby McLean Park. And we had speakers there. We had singers. We had all kind of entertainers. A lot of the businesses there, they actually participated and donated things to me so that I could sell to raise more money for the families. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful day when we saw every race of color and color of people actually come together for a common good. During that time, too, what it opened my eyes to was the fact that, wow, white people are embracing me, too. Like, it really tripped me out because, I was got so accustomed to white people staying in their lane, black people staying in their lane, that when they actually came together with me and marched with me and hugged me, I was like, wow, okay, maybe there's some hope for this racial divide.
Right.
But what happened was after the dust settled, then everything went back to business as usual.
Kind of the
way.
Right.
I recognize. Oh, go ahead, Crystal.
There was a comedian yesterday. I think his name's Roy Woods Jr. and he was kind of doing this spoof saying, like, in America, after we have, say, I don't know, like a racist attack on our Capitol, then we all just pause for a minute, a moment of silence, right? Say our prayer that racism is ended, and we just kind of go back to business, And I think that's what you saw then. We're talking, 10, 20 years ago?
Yes.
And where we are today, I think these movements are important. And so I'm kind of curious. I know John's got a question in the queue, but I've been excited to talk to you too. So he gets to talk to you all the time.
Okay.
I got all the work that you've done, right? These marches, these organizing, Juneteeth, community festivals. I know we're going to talk about that, but how do you feel about what we need to do next to bring that unity that you said that just kind of happens just for the moment, in the moment, How do we get it to stick?
Right. Well, I think that, first of all, we need to have a real discussion. I think that we actually need to sit down with the other side, and we need to have a real discussion. What are your concerns? Why do you hate me because of the color of my skin? That's one thing that we need to talk about. Because, if you really, really dig down deep, you're going to find that white people really are jealous of us in a lot of ways because they look at it. In the summertime, they lay out in the sun. They try to get dark like us. They get lip injections and booty injections and all that stuff. Things that was made a mockery of with the Venus. What's the Vixen? What's her name? She was a slave, and she actually. What's her name?
I'm going to look it up, but she's the one that they put on sort of the carnival display, right?
They put on display in the museum, right? They put on, her name was something Vixen. It was a Vixen, but anyway, they were making fun of her because her booty was big, And but now look, you got the white women trying to get big booties like black women, big lip injections like black women, But they can't stand us though. And that's the crazy part right there. They can't stand us, but they want to be so much like us. And I think that we need to have those kind of discussions. First and foremost, we need to do that first. Secondly, we all need to come together as a collective, black folks. We need to get together and get on one accord. Find out what we expect from Biden. Because, okay, all these black people ran out and voted for Biden. It doesn't really mean a whole lot to me, that he's the president. I want to see what he's going to do in office. And it wasn't the fact that he was the chosen one. It was just that we wanted Trump out of there. So we would settle for Biden because Biden had Kamala, Miss Harris, to come aboard with him. So now we're going to put some fire under their feet. We need to ask for legislation that's going to increase our communities, community rebuilding, education, change the textbooks and put some real history in there about us. Because, me growing up in West Virginia, which is predominantly, 5 or 6% black, we didn't really learn a lot about black history. The only thing we were taught was things like about Martin Luther King, Christmas addicts, we heard about Idi Amin. And the crazy story about Idi Amin with me is that when I first saw Idi Amin, I was in high school. I think it was my first year. I was studying history in my class. I think it was only like 2 other black people in my class. We learned about this man named Idi Amin. I was fascinated. with Idi Amin because really that's the first black leader that I ever saw that was in charge of a country. Mm-hmm. He was in power. He was empowered. To see a black man in power was a big thing for me. It really was. And even though, you got the history of his history, I didn't know him like that. I was like, I'm reading what's in the book. I see what y'all said about him in the book. But for real, I looked at him like, wow, look at this black man in power. When I left West Virginia and I came down to Louisiana, I was really, really empowered because I was like, man, I'm around my people. But then I started watching the news locally, start seeing all the things that's going on in our community. The killings, senseless killings, young people slaying each other, killing kids. All that stuff to me is just so discouraging. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed too.
That's the mark of defamation. Real quickly, when you talked about Idi Amin, he was defamed it's the same type of way that you would do with a great boxer. All of his good skills, you would mark them as negative, right? When his talent, he was a gifted dude, right? But he was defamed, and that's one of the reasons why getting to some of the organizing that we do for events. We talked about this one time before. It's our opportunity to shine, okay? Where you get young, local artists, organizers, and activists. We produce a platform for them to come out of the grassroots and shine, okay? Right. So I want, that's how you actually balance off the defamation you get from where you take a great man like Idi Amin and you demonize him. You know what I mean? Then, but see, what you have is the work that we can put in to be able to show on the local level that all of that is defamation, and we got the good works to put in to represent the best.
Well, we see that every day. We see the defamation of the black male every single time one of them get killed. One of them is getting shot down by the police or something. It's not the policeman's fault. It's that guy that he shot who was laying in his living room eating some ice cream. And no matter what he's done in his life, and his life could be great. He's going to college, he's trying to do something with his life, but because maybe he had a run-in with the law, which is 96% of the black population is going to have some kind of occurrence with the law at some point. They bring up that fact that maybe he had something going on way back when. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily mean the person that I'm talking about, but it just means black males in general. They're going to always bring up the negative when it comes to something to make themselves look good. It's just like in the history book with Idi Amin. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
you know.
So, yeah, and I would, your work in terms of being able to organize local events has put us in a position. When I say your work, okay, our work together collectively since you and I began to work together in 2011. We did the National International Day of Action and Unity. I keep mentioning that, but that was an important event because we went national. And as I was telling Crystal earlier in a text, it's important for us to look at at everything we do in a national context. If it is national, it's national if you localize in a conjunction with other people in other states throughout the country. That's a national event. So if we organize for Juneteenth on the local level, and other people are also organizing and hosting Juneteenth events in other cities and states throughout the de facto United States, then we have a national event that is recognized locally. Okay?
Right.
And that's what has happened with us. That's what has happened with us from day one with West Virginia Black Unity Coalition. Day one with us working together. We did that in Morgantown back in 2011, April 23rd, for the first National International Day of Action with Sister Amy Parks, the iconic civil rights leader that just passed, who we continue to carry the torch. We got to give her, we did a show on her, but she was so very important that she blew that out. And she actually shocked me, Luana, okay? And I know you had a part in putting her speech together there. And I want you to share a little bit about organizing for that National International Day in Action and Unity in Morgantown back in 2011, Sister Amy.
Okay, that date was such an important date because what it did was it brought us attention. It brought us attention locally and nationally. It brought us attention with the Fed. It brought us attention, okay? So, but basically, we're a grassroots organization in West Virginia. And because we decided to step out and become a part of a National Day of Action and Unity, along with the new Black Panther Party and other Black Power movement organizations, we decided to go ahead and get involved in that. And that was a great step for us because what it did was it opened up a dialogue in the community and gave us the microphone to open up conversations about racism and what can we do as Black people to make our lives better in our communities. It brought a scare tactic among the local governmental agencies. They didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know if the new Black Panther Party was coming to town, or they didn't know nothing. All they knew was that we were having this Day of Action and Unity. The skinheads, neo-Nazi skinheads, decided that they wanted to come and protest our event. So I was being interviewed by a local newspaper in Morgantown, West Virginia, called the Dominion Post. And the reporter said to me, "Luana, can you tell me, a little bit about your event?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "Well, it's a day of action and unity." I said, "We're building bridges and trying to unify our communities." And she said, "Well, that's not what I heard. I heard that the new Black Panther Party was coming to town." I said, "Really? Well, I've never heard that. So you got news on me." Then she also told me that the skinheads or neo-Nazis was going to protest the event. So when I went to the police department to get protection, because that's what they're there for to protect and serve, when I walked in, I took my mother with me, Pauline Williams, took her with me, and I was greeted by a young lady who was a mixed girl. She was behind the glass at the police station. So they made me wait for like 20 or 25 minutes. Down comes this detective, takes me into an interrogation room with a file. And he says, So what can I do for you? I said, well, I understand that there may be some trouble. I just wanted to get some protection. So he was like, oh. So he opens the file and he starts showing me conversations that I've had with people. Text messages. So he had a whole file on me, and I wasn't even aware. How severe getting involved on a national level with anything would be. It didn't intimidate me at all. It didn't intimidate me at all because I knew that our agenda we were on the same accord as having an event with them, but our agenda was a little different. We wanted to bring together.
To get this in, that was supposed to be, instead of in the Salvation Army, it rained that day. I had got a permit for that to be held downtown in front of the courthouse. On High Street.
Right.
And
That's right.
I had to make a last-minute decision on whether or not to cancel that or to switch it to another location. It worked out for us because if I had canceled that, I don't think we would have been able to get that powerful message from Sister Amy and from the rest of us because it was a joint effort. But actually, so we're proud of that because that, and also what we did at that particular event, we campaigned for the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs. Go back and check the video. Okay, it had been shot down like 3 times in a row, back to back. It couldn't get through the legislature. Okay,
that's right.
I had even went and seen Judge Frank Cleckley up at his office here at WVU, and he had signed on with the petition that we were campaigning around for the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs. At that time, we were big time in support of it. Okay. So I'm just sending that out to the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs and some of the things that it is doing, or though that it is supposed to do. We want to take a closer look at what the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs is doing. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay.
Well, we want to really push some legislation to make Juneteenth a national holiday too.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about that, right? Because you do the Juneteenth, June 26th in Fairmont, and what we do, here's what happens. I get a call from the National to do part 2 of the National International Day of Action and Unity. So you tell me, John, let's do it in Fairmont and mix Fairmont's first Juneteenth with it. And we go about campaigning for that. We got a picture of us from 2011, man. We look like 2 totally different people.
I know.
We went to the
newspaper office.
Yeah. We went to the Fairmont Times newspaper office. And we did that. That was some of the promotional work that we did for that joint effort, right? But that was that was wonderful. Lujana had did a lot of the work. It brought people together that wouldn't necessarily be brought together if we hadn't got her in there to get that done. So I'm just going to, can you pop off some names that help you with that? Because I know there were some important names. I think in 2011, the sound man that you had a different sound man in 2011 than what we had in 2012.
The sound man was a young man named Dylan Vasquez. He was our sound guy. DJ Strizzy, who's a local DJ in Fairmont, he's pretty popular now among the young people. He actually was our DJ. Right. We had the guy from WVU, what's his name? Eric Jordan, and some of his acts. They participated. We had a lot of help from the Marion County Commission, as far as donating money towards our event, so that we were able to really kick it off for the very first one. So, but each year it's getting better, it's getting bigger. I look forward to the next one. I really look forward to the next one.
And we're working on it. I got to be honest and say that it was difficult last year in 2020 after having began to organize it, because Juneteenth is one of the things that we do and we pride ourselves on, because we locked 2011 in, and it's been difficult to carry. When I say it's been difficult to carry, you got to give people on the local level instruction, and they carry out their assignments to get certain things done on the local level. You know, you got to meet, you got to get permits from the city. You got to know how to talk to people and not be intimidated of people. So it takes a special person. Kimberly Richards defined what an organizer is, and I didn't necessarily see. I told her I didn't necessarily see myself as an organizer, but the necessary detail work in terms of bringing people together. That's what an organizer does. Okay. Some people are more efficient than others. Some people are more efficient at it than others, to the extent that they can get people to do things. Okay.
Right.
And long as it gets done. Okay. So in 2019, that's the one where in 2012 we brought Professor Phil Carter from Marshall University. Okay. In terms of organizing. I think you was in the process of going to Louisiana, so I had to do the work on that, and he came in and gave us a workshop. Okay, that was in 2012. I think 2018 you do Fairmont. I think the Dunbar reunion ends, and as a replacement for the Dunbar reunion, you do the Fairmont
present reunion. Yes.
Reunion.
And what that was is that's a reunion. That's a reunion that, you know, I'm a believer in unity and us coming together as a people all over West Virginia. But but I invited anyone who ever lived in West Virginia, in Fairmont, to come back home for the 4th of July weekend. So I provided free food, entertainment, activities, all kind of things for people to do, free pool passes in partnership with the Marion County Parks and Recreation, also with the County Commission, local businesses, individuals. I raised $1,000-something online to help out with expenses because I do have to travel from Louisiana to West Virginia. And I come on a bus. I don't even drive. I don't have a car right now, but I normally do have a car, but I don't have one right now. So I had to ride the bus 30-something hours just to come to West Virginia to do the event. So I also partner with Microtel Inns and Suites. I partner with the Clarion Inn. Just an array of different places who opened their doors to me. And I appreciate them. And that's why, you build good relationships in the community with people, and then they tend more to participate and give you what you need at the time. So that's part of being an organizer too. Is going in there and having those conversations with people, telling them about the value of what you're doing and how they're going to, because they always want to know what is it going to do for me. So what they did was they got free advertising. Advertising costs money, and companies spend billions of dollars on advertisement. So, why not utilize what you got?
Name some of the companies. Go ahead, Crystal.
Because I think it's really important for our listeners. There was a way that we did things in the past, and now we're moving because of COVID. How to organize online events. I think we think we're going to go back to the way things were, and I don't believe that's so. And I've been so impressed with the way that, and it's actually been quite a blessing that the pandemic lockdown has allowed us to expand our platforms. We can meet online. It doesn't matter if you're in Louisiana or I'm in West Virginia, like here we are together. And thinking about how that integrates with, how we do events and how we do organizing. So I know that you guys have scheduled the Juneteenth for this year, but what happens if we're still in lockdown? Or is there some resources or ideas that we can start brainstorming to bring that event and that occasion, into a digital space?
Yeah, I'm actually working with a guy named. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say quickly that Luana had suggested doing a virtual Juneteenth. Myself personally, because we canceled in 2020, and I'm here on the ground locally, the position that I take on it is that we we go ahead on and practice social distancing. We wear the mask, but given the fact that we canceled last year, and other areas such as Pittsburgh, they didn't cancel. They went on with theirs, and some areas within the state did not cancel. The young people, we canceled, but the young people rose up and did their own Juneteenth cookout, as well as over here at WVU. So bottom line said, there is a demand for the Juneteenth, whether John and Lujana say we're going to cancel, or no other who says we're going to cancel. The young people say they want their Juneteenth. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hydea George led the Juneteenth last year. I appreciated her for doing that. They had a little parade, and then they actually had a barbecue out there at the park, at Windmill Park. Yeah. I appreciate her just bringing people together in unity. I mean, even though she didn't have all the things that she could have had there, but there was just a big deal for me to see the young people take the initiative to carry the torch, to carry the torch.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate them doing that.
Rick Maddox called me, and Little Rick called me and told me, he said, man, I'm out here watching the parade from the courthouse out to Windmill. I said, Rick, man, get me some video of that, man. I want, now that was done. One of the things I'm a stickler on, when you do events, you got to be able to be your own media and document that. Okay, we got to have somebody out there, because we didn't necessarily get any documentation that I would have liked to seen that. My niece Whitley, she said she was out there for that, right? For that event. So Luana, one of the things that we also talk about is black business, and Crystal, if you could give Nasa a call, I text you your number.
She's on there, I think.
She's on the line. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Nasa.
Hello.
Hi, Nisa.
Hey. Hey, tell us a little bit about your business, who you are in your business, and whether or not your organizational energy is passed down from grandmother to mother to daughter.
Okay. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Nisa Williams. I am a black business owner. I'm a graphic designer. My business name is Nini's Corner LLC. It's a home-based business in Louisiana, Minden, Louisiana, but I don't discriminate. I have customers all over the United States, and I'm also a growing business. I am a firm believer in, supporting black businesses as well as anyone, really. I personally, of course, I'm going to definitely stand by my history and my knowledge and wisdom of, black history, but I'm also going to make sure that my son and myself and my family, we are going to spread positivity in all ways that we possibly can, while also staying true to ourselves and to our spiritual selves as well. Here in Minden, Louisiana, whenever George Floyd had passed away, I was contacted by the Economic Development Director, Philip Smart, here in Minden, because he saw that, there's a little group that they have on Facebook, and I'm not one to hold back my tongue for anything. Of course, depending on the situation. But he reached out to me. He needed my assistance with trying to get a protest together, a peaceful protest together. And I was not a part of the original plan. However, I did partake just because I'm not from here originally. I'm from Fairmont. I always will represent Fairmont, West Virginia all day, every day. But just to show that, a new person coming into Minden, I can see what needs to be done here, and people need to take that step to get things done. Mm-hmm. However, there's a lot of people here that dwell in the old days. And, here in Minden, as far as business, there's a lot of businesses booming, especially last year in 2020. All over the United States, black businesses had an increase. But, of course, on the downside, decreased because, of course, COVID kind of affected everybody's business. But just to see the boom in entrepreneurship, in the Black community is actually empowering and inspiring. So I definitely, reached out and, of course, spoke my opinion. I did do, the walk. I walked with many people that showed up. A lot of people were skeptical because, the economic development director here, he is biracial, but he looks like he is Caucasian. So of course, and he's new. He's not. I guess he didn't come into the position how people were wanting him to, or how he was supposed to. It's a lot of ins and outs and pros and cons about that situation. But, I didn't see an issue with it because, again, I'm all about unity. And, I just think that not just here in Minden and not just in Fairmont or West Virginia at all, but just everywhere, there needs to be more awareness. I want to touch back on something that my mother was talking about whenever she was in high school and she was learning about, history. When I was in high school, I went to Fairmont State, or Fairmont Senior High School. I thought that, throughout my whole life, learning about history, I thought that where Black people originated from was just slavery. That's what they teach in the history books, that we just came from slavery. Like, okay, well, what about our history before then? So as I had become older and read more and gained more wisdom about it and talked to my grandmother and my aunts about it, I've learned more that, okay, we're not slaves. We didn't just originate from slavery. We are royalty. And, we need to acknowledge that. There's a lot of people that are, even, brown skin, us, we believe that, it's not just about royalty in Egypt. It's deeper than that. It's kind of more so of not to offend anybody, but an Israelite type of thing that I've been learning about. And I'm not an Israelite. I believe there's a higher power, but there's a lot more that needs to be learned. We've been lied to, all of us, all brown-skinned people have been lied to throughout our entire lives, entire history. We were taught that, as slaves, our ancestors were taught that, if they do something wrong, then they're going to offend, white Jesus. Jesus is not white. I can go into depth. I'm not going to do that right now. But I'm just going to say unity.
Well, I got a real quick question for the two of you. What would you see the impact of Black Lives Matter on our community since 2020 with the George Floyd protest?
Well, the Black Lives Matter to me it's operated, actually it's originated from white dudes. So you have to really look at the whole picture of Black Lives Matter. I don't knock it because the gist of Black Lives Matter is they want equality for Black folks. Okay, that's what the gist of it is. But behind the scenes, you got to dig deeper and find out, who's behind different things. I'm a researcher. That's what I do. I like to investigate different people and different things. And so, there's a lot of ins and outs with Black Lives Matter. I'm for protesting. But my thing is this too about protesting. How many hundreds of years have we protested and sung and danced, did a song and dance, and still got nowhere in society as far as anything, any economic development for Black folks, anything like that. We still believe in, back in the day they did the sit-ins and all of that, okay, yeah, they got a few things done. Martin Luther King got a few things done, but we still singing the same old songs. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. You have to make some moves to overcome. It's not going to come by praying to white Jesus. I will say that. It's not going to come by being crabs in a bucket. Black people say, "Oh yeah, girl, I want you to do well in your life," and then when you start excelling, then what they do is they jump on your back and try to pull you back down in the bucket because they don't want you to get as far as they got. So it's just a lot to deal with, just period. Dealing with the mental illness in our Black community. It's important that we also understand that instead of us utilizing the guns and weapons against each other, then we need to come together and organize and utilize that to protect the women and children. Black family. That's what we need to really do. So that's where I am with Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Real quick here, because one of the things, we could talk about Black Lives Matter, we could talk about that, but I want to pause because we brought Sister Nisi in here, and, I'm looking at your business right now, right? So folks can go right on to niniscorner.shop, right? And I'm telling you right now, Black by God is going to buy a logo for the Shabazz Report.
Yay!
Hey, all right.
So we're gonna talk offline because we put this show together. I gotta find a little logo to stick in there, and I think it's time the Shabazz Report had its own logo, and to have it made by you, I'm sure John won't argue with that. But
that's awesome.
I think it's also beautiful too when I'm reading, and I just here's how I live in the world as a creator, and I know that you're a creator too. And I think this is where the spirit comes in, and we find the solutions, to our challenges. We can research and we can think, but it's that feeling that comes into us that knows, right for wrong and how to move. And I see here that you're giving honor to your grandmother, Pauline Williams, in your bio. And that's one of the beautiful things that last week when we were talking with the doctor, how she introduced herself, right? She said, let me tell you who I am and who I come from, right? And it has stuck with me. And, we just heard from the beautiful Amanda Gorman, poet, right, that spoke at inauguration, and her presence and her power and her youth, and how she lives by a mantra that when she steps to the stage, before she steps into any platform, that she reminds herself who she came from. So I just want to say that Nini's Corner is so important because it is becoming from your grandmother, from your mother, and then for the future generations. And, I'm an artist at heart. So when I see, someone that owns and claims, art is who I am. You know what I mean? I think that I just want to stop for a minute, and just recognize that, all of our problems and challenges, right? We find those solutions in our spirit world. And I don't mean to be preaching. I just really think that we have to encourage art, and that's what happens at the Juneteeth when people come together and we see the creativity come through the food, through the way that the event is organized. When you make a way out of no way, right? That's creativity. That's pure creativity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Crystal, I'm feeling your vibe 100%. I'm feeling the spirit as you begin to talk about it. And that's what I feel with the June. That's why it's so important that we cultivate a good spirit and energy amongst our people. Because why? There's so many things that could be negative, like a negative energy. We have to get together and get along with one another. And you have to in order to organize an event, you have to get along with one another. Well, don't put him over top of anything because power goes to his head. Well, okay, we got something for him to do and we got something for you to do, sis. Okay? There's a space for everybody.
You got to have a logo and you got to have a brochure. You got to have a website, right? Nini's Corner, LLC.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
You can take it all the way back to the Egyptian hieroglyphics. We got to have these tools, right? And we have a creator here. And so I just want to make sure that that's the right website. It's niniscorner.shop. Is that where people should go?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, right. Ma'am. It's niniscorner.shop. At the moment, because I want to enhance the quality of my business and also what I provide for my clients. Customer satisfaction is my number one thing. That's always been something that in professionalism is, one of the main things that I definitely want to produce and, give my clients. So I will be relaunching this year. I'm not sure when. It will be this year, but if you'd like, afterwards we can talk some more about that. But if anyone that's listening would like to go to Nini's Corner LLC on Facebook or go to niniscorner.shop or LLC.shop. you're more than welcome to do so and contact me if you have any questions, and I'll be more than happy to talk with you further about that.
All right.
All right. No, Crystal. Crystal, I gotta tell Luana about her son Jonathan, that is a rising hip hop artist.
What?
Okay, I wanted to get him on. Yes. She's got an art. She's producing artists and leaders. That's how it works with us. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've listened to some of his stuff, and I see him growing in his music. So I want to be able to recognize him. He was also there in 2019. He orchestrated, or he ran the basketball tournaments and so forth.
He did.
So I want to get that brother his props. And I didn't have his number, but I'd like to.
I'm going to get him on the phone. I'm going to get him on the phone with us. Go ahead and keep talking, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm going to get him on the phone with us.
Well, I tell you what, folks, we might have to do a part 2 because we are running out of time.
We're running out of time. Okay.
Yeah, we're running.
We can keep it flowing. Yeah. Well, Luana took time to identify young leadership, as I was mentioning to you at one time before, where we got to be able to. Kimberly Richards asked me last week, I want to see the young people that you are cultivating to do what you're doing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not available right now. I think he's in the studio.
Okay, yeah. But she was saying leadership cultivates leadership. And this is what we see among young people, like with Amy Parks, for instance. Her daughter, Ramelia, is an organizer, activist, okay?
Yes.
We see out of leaders come leaders.
That's right.
At least in theory.
Yeah, if you guys get an opportunity, since Jonathan's not available, his name is Juneteeth Logan. He lives in Pennsylvania, and he has music on YouTube. He has an album out called God's Grace by J Log. It's capital JLOG. And if you just go to YouTube and listen to it, it's absolutely wonderful. Like, his music is great. Yeah. My daughter is also a singer, Nisa. She sings too. She's not only an artist, but she sings. She's a musical genius. She can sing. She models. She does all kind of things.
She does all kinds. I hear you, sis. That's wonderful. Actually, when I do look at her page, she has a glam look like a model. Okay, so she's serious about what she does, and she does look like a black female, a black woman entrepreneur. Okay.
Yeah,
bottom line.
Definitely is. Hey, Nisa, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah. Can you get Tori on the line?
Can I get Tori on the line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on for 1 second.
We've got about 4 minutes, so I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only reason why I wanted to get Tori on the line was because Nisa models for Tori. Tori is a young lady who lives in Shreveport who inspires young women to be proud of their bodies, big, bold black women. Be proud of who you are. She's very inspirational. She has a company called Dare to Be Different, and she makes her own clothing line and everything. And she's really, really inspired my daughter to really shine. She just stands out, right. And that's where you see the glow in Nisa. You see the glow in Nisa. She has self-confidence, and I think that in the black community we need people like Notoria Womack.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Okay, you guys. This is my best friend, my sis. I actually model for her. She is the owner and founder of Dare to Be Different Fashions by Tori Styles, and also she's into art as well. She does a lot of beautiful paintings. Dare to Be Different Decor. Tori, you can go ahead if you want to introduce yourself real quick and just tell them what you're about, and they may have some questions to ask as well.
Okay, so first of all, as you guys know, my name is Notoria Womack, and I am a self-taught fashion designer. And as Nisa stated, she is one of my models. She's a Dare to Be Different Glamazon. On the side, I love to let loose of my creative, artistic side, and I have something else that I do on the side called That'll Be Different Decor, where I do a lot of pouring paint, acrylic tops, resin tops, and I just love to let my creativity out through my designs and my art.
Great. Hey, Tori, so Tori, can you also...
Hold on, let's slow down. What's the name so that people can follow you on Instagram?
Okay. So on Instagram, it's called That'll Be Different Fashion by Tori Styles. And I haven't uploaded one for my decor. It's something that I kind of do on the side that I love to do as a hobby. But it's called That'll Be Different, Dare to Be Different Decor. You can follow both of those as well on Facebook.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Tori, what I was telling them about you is that you are such an inspiration not only to my daughter, Nisa, but you're such an inspiration to young, big, bold, black, beautiful women all across the country. You inspire people to be great. You know, you have a motivational spirit about you that, you make people feel good about themselves. And so I wanted to bring you on to not only talk about your business, but also talk about what inspires you to inspire others.
What inspires me to inspire others is I grew up with hardly little to no friends. I was never liked amongst my peers. I never had any friends. I grew up, as you can say, less fortunate. I never really wore a brand new pair of shoes. I always thrifty shop with my mom, and to be honest, a lot of our food, we did a lot of we call trash can jumping. We would jump into trash cans. As I was telling Lisa some of my past history, we would hunt for our food throughout there because we grew up less fortunate, and just growing up less fortunate, not having much. But my mom did do her best to make ends meet. When I as me growing up, becoming a woman myself, I love to be around people who doesn't have that big of a confidence, or who seems like they don't have that many people rooting for them. That's my type of crowd that I would usually go around. People who don't get much attention, or people who seem like they're left behind. Due to however they may look, or however they may walk around feeling, and it shows through their confidence. So that's what caused me to want to, be there for people and embrace, help them to learn to embrace themselves, because it's not fun being on this side of the on this side of the field. And even though I'm a grown woman, I still deal with some of those things to where it's not much support, but I'm thankful for the people that I do know, thankful for Nisa, her mom, and a lot of people that I've met throughout the industry that have helped me to build my confidence, as well as me help build others.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now, in terms of building confidence, what were some of the things that you do to help build people's confidence in terms of being a model? What things that help work for you?
I always try to learn things that they're not really confident about. I'm going to say one of the things that I'm probably not as confident about is probably I have bigger eyes. I have the dark rings around my eyes. I'm not really confident when it comes to that, but I'm learning to work on my confidence. When it comes to my models, I love to find things about them that they don't like. And even with my clothing, I will put them in it and give them a dare to be different experience to help them dare to step outside of that comfort zone that they have been in for so long. Because, nothing grows in a comfort zone. So that's my goal, as to how to teach them how to, build up their confidence, and just having someone root them on the side while they're modeling the pieces that they're modeling, because it's something that they have never modeled before. And my designs are not the ordinary, not the typical designs you would see when you walk in the store, but I love that about, my designs, because it's different that you hardly ever see.
Okay.
And I will say that at the fashion shows, she steals the shows every time. Her designs are so beautiful. They flow. They're so pretty. They complement a bigger woman's body. It's not like some of that hoochie mama stuff you see in the stores, you know. Just because they made it in my size, you know, I'm gonna wear it. It's not about that. She's very creative, just like Nisa. Nisa's very creative with logos and stuff. She's just very creative. She would make your business stand out, you know. And so that's why it was important for me to invite them on today, because I wanted to not only give them some words of encouragement, but I also wanted to highlight their businesses. It's a music playing somewhere, you know.
Yeah,
that's our outro. Go ahead, Crystal.
No, I just want to say thank you to all the women on the call from, you know, with your West Virginia roots, and maybe we'll have a fashion show. Who knows, at Juneteeth with our new friend. And so I just want to say thanks so much, everybody, for listening. And
thank you so much for having you.
Thank you.
Yes. It's always good to be in tune with the brothers and sisters. This has been a great show. We'll see you next Sunday at Black by God and the Shabazz Report. Tune in, check us out. The link will be posted shortly every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 516-666-9488. Peace and blessings. All right. Peace and love.
All right. Thank you.
All right.